Happy Halloween, all of you. It came from England fans. Today's episode is going to involve something so fearsome, so terrible, so mind-bendingly... Okay, I'm just kidding. Actually, the subject for today's episode is actually not going to be terrifying per se, but more so... horrendous, let's just say. You're probably wondering what's with this stupid hat. Well, it's actually not a hat. It's actually my Halloween basket when I was a kid. And you know what? Since I now have it, might as well just use it as my hat for today's episode. So, the subject for today's episode, and I guess just in general the Halloween episode for this year for It Came From England, is a British animator by the name of Steve Cutts. Now, for anybody who doesn't know who Steve Cutts is, he basically has made several animations over the past decade or so, basically consisting of social commentary of what's going on in the world and basically his thoughts about it. And a majority of them are kind of portraying the negative aspects of human beings, basically. And apparently these animations have done so well on the internet. They've gotten, lots of views. They've gotten a lot of awards. They've also been heavily recommended by a lot of high school and college teachers, which I would know because, well, I had a teacher show one of his animations a couple years ago in one of my college classes, which we'll get to that animation later on. And of course, for today's episode, since I'm talking about Steve Cutts, we're going to be talking about several of his shorts, about 3 or 4, I would say. And just discuss them and, my thoughts about them and what the messages are. So, yeah. This episode is going to work a little bit differently than a lot of other episodes I've talked about, like YouTubers and online personalities and stuff, where instead of mostly just seeing me on camera, you're basically just going to be seeing the videos and hearing my commentary over them. So, yeah, you're not going to be seeing me a whole lot in this episode, which I'm hoping is fine with a lot of you guys. But anyways... just so I don't have to wear this silly Halloween bag for much longer, let's take a look at Steve Cutts' animations. So the first animation of Steve's I want to talk about is definitely his most well-known animation, especially in terms of viewership, has over 63 million views as of the time of recording this, which is simply just called Man. And from what I've seen of the short, it's basically just a short film that basically talks about the negative aspects of humans, or mostly just how they infect the environment. Basically, throughout the short film, you basically see this guy doing basically a lot of negative things you could think of humans doing, about half of them basically being killing animals. There was at one point where the guy basically just randomly shot gophers or groundhogs for no reason, dumped a bunch of toxic waste into the ocean, killing all the marine life, so on and so forth. And there are also some other ones as well, basically he had a magic wand and turned the trees all into paper, I guess. Which, yeah, keep in mind all of this is basically just, talking about the negative aspects of humans and the environment, basically. And at the very end, after he basically, just kind of built an entire big city, and basically is now on top of a big heap of trash, and is sitting there on his throne, basically aliens come in and look at him, and they just grab him and, stomp him to death and just leave? What's that supposed to mean? Where's the message in that? And after that, the short just ends. No positives, nothing. And that's really about it. And yeah, this was, as I mentioned, his most well-known animation. This is one that I've heard being tossed around in high schools and colleges and stuff by teachers, who I guess are basically just trying to say, oh hey, this is what we're doing to the environment, we gotta stop. But yeah, the problem with the Man short is that it doesn't really give any solutions, say, hey, instead of doing this, why not do this? Or something like that. It also doesn't help that the man himself is really the only human in this video. And yeah, and also, like, it doesn't help the fact that, like, also, I know this animation's a bit older than usual, like, not usual, more so than, like, a lot of his other animations. Keep in mind, this came out in late 2012, so almost 11 years ago. Funny enough, on December 21st, which was what the Mayans predicted was gonna be the end of the world. Huh. Funny. What if that was intentional? Anyways, so yeah, not really much else to say about Man. Just doesn't really... I mean, I get the message and all, but it's, like, very one-sided, and it, like, doesn't, like, you know, talk about some of the good things that the humans have done. Like, obviously, there's a good amount of people who are the exact opposite of the Man. They basically try to save the environment and try to make it better. You know, like, preventing less buildings from being made, helping certain animals not be extinct, you know? Like, basically, this short is basically the anti-Wild Thornberrys, basically, from Nickelodeon, which I'm sure a lot of you have probably heard of. Basically, if you want to see something that, like, you know, does a better job of, like, explaining the negative aspects of the environment and also ways to improve it, go watch the Wild Thornberrys from Nickelodeon. I'm sure you'll get a lot better content out of it, you know? So, yeah. Man, not really the biggest fan of it. And you know what? Might as well just end the portion of the video with this joke. Man, that was horrible. Now, funny enough, 8 years later, Steve Cutts actually made a sequel to Man that was simply just titled Man 2020. And basically the short starts with, like, the man being inside his house, and you also eventually go outside his house and you see the environment and all the animals in there, like, kind of dancing around, and you're thinking, oh, this is literally the exact opposite of the Man animation from a long time ago. Instead of the environment getting destroyed, it's, you know, back to its normal self. But then the short ends with the man coming out of his house and the animals in the trees running away, and then the man, you know, sees the bug that was the same bug at the very beginning of the original short and steps on it. So basically history repeating itself. I just wanted to bring that up. Not really noteworthy compared to the original, but yeah, it's there. Alright, so the next big animation, I would say, of Steve Cutts that we're going to be looking at is one simply titled Happiness, which came out November 24th of 2017, which, funny enough, was Black Friday that year, and also funny enough, this year, November 24th is also going to be on Black Friday, so very fitting time for me to talk about this. But anyways, the plot of Happiness involves basically a city of rats, I guess, meant to resemble New York City, even though I've never been to New York City personally, but I don't think it's that crowded like the short portrays it as. Like, literally in the opening where, like, the rats were about to get onto a subway, and, like, it's all crowded, and, like, I guess the main rat character that we see comes out of it, and, like, another one gets in, and, like, are you serious? Where do all these, like, thousands of other rats, like, have to go that's not... whatever. But that's not the main point. So I guess throughout the course of this short, this one rat that we constantly see throughout just is trying to find happiness, I guess, hence the name of the short. And funny enough, you think I'm making that Black Friday mention as just, you know, oh, it was released on that day. No, there's literally a scene in this short about the rats going to a store on Black Friday and then going apeshit against each other and just ripping each other apart and basically, like, Watership downing each other, I guess you can say. Which I would say, out of all the things that Steve Cutts has done in his animations that are accurate, I would arguably say that's probably the most accurate. But that's not saying much. But yeah, anyways, there was literally a scene where he basically gets a car, and I don't know what happens, but apparently he got a ticket, you know, he got his wheels taken away, got graffitied all over it. Basically the rat's not doing very well. And then he sees these advertisements for, like, drinks that say happiness and, you know, goes after them, which I don't know if that's just, like, a metaphor on how some people use alcohol as a way to, you know, escape, you know, the harsh realities of life, which, you know, I'll be honest, this short kind of portrays, you know, like, accesses to happiness in, like, negative ways rather than, like, positive ways. Kind of like Man did with, like, environments. And then later on we see the rats go into, I guess, a hospital, and tries to find happiness in the form of pills, which kind of rubs me off the wrong way, especially since people, like, you know, need medications in order to, like, you know, function, or, you know, hopefully get better. So, like, basically from what I've seen, Steve Cuts is basically, like, just saying, oh, haha, you're basically just taking your medications only to, you know, feel better and nothing else, you know, haha, or something like that. I have no idea. But anyways, after this pill sequence, we get a different shift in animation style, basically more of a Disney-esque style with the rat, you know, being all happy and stuff, and then, like, eventually him going back to reality, and, you know, then, in the final portion of the animation, he chases after a $100 bill all across the city, only to then end up in a mousetrap on computers like hundreds if not thousands of other rats. And that's it. Now, unlike Man, which kind of has, like, you know, more of a message, I guess, when it comes to, like, you know, what it's portraying, I would say Happiness is kind of all over the place when it comes to it, you know? And also, very similar to Man, it doesn't, like, portray, like, the positive things. Like, there's obviously, like, you know, better ways of being happy besides, well, drinking alcohol and all that. Like, obviously, that's something that this animation didn't bring up. Like, what about, like, him interacting with others, you know? I know this animation doesn't, like, you know, really portray, you know, the rats as being social, but, like, you know, why not friends or family? You know, those people can make you happy. Well, depending on the friends and family, that is, but let's not get there. And yeah, I don't think I have anything much else to say about this animation. You know, it's, it definitely has a more interesting style than Man, I would say. And, you know, I will say one thing about both this and Man. They all have this, like, really cool CGI shots that I would say is probably, like, one of the cooler things about these animations. But other than that, Happiness is just, doesn't really make me happy. It just makes me feel just, okay, whatever. I'll be happy my own way, I guess. I don't know. And now for the final portion of this video, we're going to be talking about an animation that Steve did, not just for himself, but for a band, or musician. Never heard of this person, Moby, before, but yeah. So Steve Cuts in 2016 did a music video for Moby for their song, Are You Lost in the World Like Me? And basically, unlike the previous two animations we talked about, well, actually three, because Man 2020, but unlike those previous ones, this one had a more distinct style. It's basically meant to resemble black and white cartoons from the 1930s, which, keep in mind, this was a year before Cuphead came in and kind of sort of made it popularized again, I guess you could say. But anyways, so basically throughout this video, there's this bald kid or somebody, yeah, this bald kid, obviously doesn't have a name, of course, just basically being the only one who's, like, not on his phone, which basically this whole video's message is, oh, phone equals bad and it makes us all into mindless zombies, which you can see throughout the video. Everybody that's portrayed with phones is just, like, you know, all focused on them, you know, nothing else. Everything outside of them just doesn't matter. Heck, literally in the opening, they're all just, like, falling down into the sewer, then at the very end of the video, they're all, like, falling off a cliff. Like, yeah, I'm assuming these people are way too distracted to even notice that, apparently. But anyways, so basically this video makes all sorts of messages about the negative impacts that phones, and I guess just in general social media, play on humanity. And, you know, like the previous Steve Cuts animations, it portrays it in a very, I guess, boomer-esque style, I guess. Well, actually, the previous ones, I would arguably say, maybe not the most boomer feeling when it comes to its messaging. But yeah, this animation definitely feels the most boomerish out of all of his animations that I've covered in this video. Of why phones are bad and, you know, blah blah blah. One portion of the video has the kid on a subway with everybody on their phones, and there's this, like, big guy trying to harass this woman, and basically the kid, like, imagines him punching the guy in the face and getting admired by, you know, not only the girl he saved, but also the people on there. But he doesn't do anything about it, and just lets this guy get away with, like, you know,
acting like a jerk to her. And also, like, you think, in reality, this situation wouldn't even be, like, happening the way it is. Like, somebody would at least, you know, either be looking up for their phone about the situation, and hell, there would probably be other people, you know, besides, you know, that bald kid that would probably try to, like, you know, help her out. You know, I doubt people are gonna be like this, like, neglectful of what's going on in their surroundings. They're not gonna help someone out in need. Like, say what you will about humans, but I doubt, you know, almost all of them are, like, this harsh. And speaking of harsh, brief little moments where the kid is with a dog and, like, this person just randomly kicks it while they're on their phone, like, it just does that for no reason. It's not like the person, like, did not see the dog. The person literally stopped in front of the dog and just kicked it and went on its way. Like, huh? And a few other things to point out. I noticed there's a little bit of a Pokemon Go reference with everybody in a junkyard with this Pikachu knockoff, I guess. Very random reference, but anyways. And there's a portion of the video where you kind of tell, like, yeah, this guy is probably being a simp, because there's a portion where this lady is, like, scrolling through guys that she's on a date with, and, you know, kind of like, Tinder, I guess you can say. And, yeah, basically just walks away sadly, like, huh, I wish that was my girl, or something like that. And then you can kind of tell this kid is also very attention-seeking, because he's trying to get the attention of everybody else who's on their phones. And it makes you think, like, oh, this kid is not just, you know, somebody who, like, doesn't use her phones and is, you know, the good person. No, they're just an attention-seeking, you know, individual. You know, they just want attention. They don't really care about what other people think. He just wants to be the main focus. And speaking of the main focus, the last portion of this animation involves a girl who was, like, just simply dancing, and people were filming her, and everybody in the town is laughing at her, I guess, which, by the way, realistically speaking, not everybody would really know about this. Like, damn, you have to be, like, I don't know, everybody's laughing? Whatever. And then there's this minor portion of, like, people praising somebody for putting butt implants, I guess. I don't know. Kind of like the Pokemon Go reference, just kind of pointless. But anyways, the animation finishes off with the same girl who got made fun of for dancing jumping off a cliff and basically committing you-know-what. And the people were just on their phones taking pictures and just leaving, which is very inaccurate to what it'll be like. I'll bet you anything, like, 99% of these people would probably be, like, horrified and would not want to record this and stuff. You know? Like, just imagine you're in that situation of the people on the ground, and you saw somebody do this. Your first thought wouldn't be, oh, I'm gonna take a picture of it and leave. No, your first thought would be, holy shit, that just happened. I'm gonna be scarred for life because of that. And yeah, that's it. That's about it for Are You Lost in the World Like Me? This short got a lot of attention on, like, you know, the internet, especially on Twitter, within the past, like, month or two. Heck, there's actually this really good video made by a guy by the name of Maximum Quality Content who basically covered some of the animations I did today, well, besides Man 2020, in, I guess, slightly better detail than I did. But yeah, definitely check out that video if you guys want to hear his opinions on it. But yeah, Steve Cuts' animations in general, just, you know, negativity without positivity, basically.
Alright, and that was me discussing Steve Cuts' animations. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, feel free to give it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more episodes of A Cave from England, or just mediocre plush content in general. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time I upload a new episode of A Cave from England or any of my other shows. Leave a comment down below, let me know what you think. That's about it. This is Tyler from the Character Workshop, signing out. I'm getting this off my head because this is really bothering me. Next episode, we're going back into the TARDIS, and we're going to be talking about another companion departure story. But it's not just one companion, it's two. Who are those two? Stay tuned next time and find out. I don't know what else I'm going to do with this, but oh well. Happy Halloween, by the way, I forgot to say that.
I've been failing for 5 years. Let's not talk about war. Purchase.